Teddy, while we have you here, what are the chances that we could get Ryan to become more engaged with the foundation, or is he still the point of contact?
Yeah, he's still a good point of contact for the development team here. I can reach out to him. I haven't talked to him recently and see what his schedule is like. It might be that this time just isn't great for him. But yeah, office hours, and then also just responding to some questions. Yeah, I'll take that. I'll try to get an answer.
Cool.
I'll tell you, like, as of last week, I started taking all of the changes and bringing them in. I think most of them merged very nicely and passed all the tests. You can see that one didn't. The one didn't caused me to make the issue about IPv6 testing and IPv6 support for the HTTP client right now. I think we may have regressed there, and I did fix it internally, but I want to take a kind of another look at the whole implementation. I think it's one of the recent issues, and then also add some tests for it. Add some more tests for it. So we have current tests which require like using the Python script to start a server, and then we do integration tests against that. I believe those are disabled, and Stefano is working on getting those re-enabled. But then in addition to that, some features about timeout were added, or I think the features were fixed, and we never had tests for that too, so that would be an example of how we extend those tests. To finish out the discussion around the original point, as soon as I'm finished getting all of those merged nicely, then I'm going to start the effort of taking everything internally that isn't built into our internal extensions and bring them back out. So progress is being made, but give me a little bit more time.
Nice. I noticed that Charville was mentioning OpenSSL. Is it just about macOS or in general?
So I think with the newer OpenSSL, the build is failing. I think one of the homebrew guys brought it to our attention, and that the current OpenSSL is getting end of line end of this year.
Yeah.
So it might be good to kind of make some progress on that.
Yeah, I recently had compiled OpenSSL 1.11d, latest version, on Catalina, and it seems like they have removed the ability to have the /user/include folder. So the configure script upstream in OpenSSL doesn't support this yet, but I was able to build it regardless using a custom IC's root parameter.
Okay. I haven't really played around with it, and the one Catalina machine that I had kind of broke, so
I also didn't have much fun when I upgraded to Catalina because it froze during the first boot.
Yeah. So I might spend some time with your help or someone's help, but I'll take a look at it. I thought Teddy was also right. Had a look at it, looking at the agenda. I don't know.
Sure. I'm also trying to take notes. If anyone else is, I'll let you do it, but I'm taking notes at the bottom of the agenda. So if someone wants to correct some of the things that I hear, please do. So yeah, Catalina, was the question about Catalina or the question about OpenSSL 1.11 on macOS?
Kind of both. OpenSSL 1.11 being the higher priority, I think.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'm a huge advocate for that. I tried to get started building it, and I saw macOS was having some issues. I think it's just a lack of my understanding of what's going on with all of the CMake, calling CMake, passing data back and forth. And I think that was documented in one of the PRs. Let me see if I can find it.
As far as I recall, it wasn't a problem of, again, on macOS, finding the correct headers in the system.
Yeah, then it has to be that.
So, yeah.
Oh, right. Yes, this is exactly it. So
Yeah, and you have to patch the make files in OpenSSL if you want to pass parameters to it. There is no switch or configuration knob you can use.
okay, so I have a bunch of questions about this. I think I can. So I just got a 10.15 SDK, so I can try to reproduce the SDK and the include problem, but the passing things.
I just ended up passing the IC0 for the Xcode installation path, and it works. I can copy you the parameter I passed.
Right, so that works, but so sysroot works on Linux. On macOS, we're not passing a sysroot, and the invocation of Clang is not finding like what you would expect to be in /user/include. And a couple of like Stack Overflow issues about this mention like installing this optional package, which is limited to, this is only an issue for 10.15. And Azure has this issue, but locally I was not able to reproduce it. So if I can get like a local install of 10.15 that has the same issue as Azure, I think I can figure this out.
Yeah, so this is what I used to fix the issue I was having.
Oh snap! Yeah, that would definitely fix it. I hope
Yeah,
that's not
sorry,
the
I
only...
copied from a diff. So it's kind of bad, but it works.
No, that would definitely fix it, but I wonder if there's a better way to fix this.
Yeah, I don't know. This is the documented way from the OpenSSL webpage. But yeah, it would be nice to find another way to do it and avoid patching things.
Okay, let me try tonight to do this. And if this is the documented way on OpenSSL site, we'll just roll with it if we can't find anything else within today. Because, getting to a situation where we can change the OpenSSL version is absolutely like top pry. Because I think right now we're pinned to the version that's pre-built for Windows and macOS. That's bad. Like,
Yeah.
we need to fix this.
So I think this, like Alessandro, the snippet that he posted requires the whole Xcode, not just the command line tools. I believe like the whole SDK.
I have no idea. I mean, that's what I had already installed on the laptop.
No, just an observation.
All right.
Make it a hard requirement to have the full.
Yeah, if there is any way to only install the command line build tools, then we can just change the path. I'm always in favor of not depending on the whole UI. I'm sorry, on the whole IDE installation, like Visual Studio, for example.
I think for the SDK, I don't think there's a way around it. We might just require the entirety of Xcode. But I'm also not super 100% sure on that.
Yeah, so if that was the case, then we would have to modify our documentation and Azure to install that package.
Yep.
So I do not have access to the document. I can comment on it, maybe. No. All right, I'll post the link on the Slack channel. So this is where it was documented.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah, okay, I can edit now.
All right, let's move on. Okay, discussing packaging.
So yeah, I can mention something, meaning between me and Ted, we fixed some of the issues remaining that were listed in the issue, in a specific issue that's linked in the agenda, though there are still some details that we want to fix, though currently no one is really assigned to it. So things like reverting to the legacy ID on macOS packages, so the com.facebook.osquery, investigate producing debug versions, double checking Windows MSI packages if they are correct, adding changelog, restore a file into the OGS Landsys directory, and so on. So mainly the thing here is, since we are hopefully two weeks away for the release, that we decide and assign someone to work on this, maybe, or drop what we want to wait on. And also something added by Ted is how we want to change the procedure of packaging and actually publishing our packages. I don't know, Ted, do you want to talk this something about, tell something about this? Sorry.
Yeah, sure. This is mostly just like I wanted to make sure we're all on the same page, like set expectations that because there's still some follow-up for making sure the packaging is right, I think that's accomplishable in the next 2 weeks. But I don't think automatic publishing is accomplishable. So the 4.1 3.0 would still go through sort of the manual process that I use to upload everything to S3. If that works and we're okay with that, then for the next release, we can focus more on having Azure take care of this. That way, we're hopefully not making as many changes to CPAC and the build. It's really just tooling after that, right?
Yeah, so I can say that definitely we can have Azure as we are already doing. Actually, I just recently added some steps to generate packages on the Azure, so that we are kind of sure that the packaging is still working as it should. And so Azure can create the packages, can also upload them to S3. There's in the scripting it has a specific task for it. Though the real question, maybe it's more security-wise, meaning how do we want to store the private keys and things like that? Because Azure has what's called secure. Actually, I don't recall how it is called, but anyway, basically it has a way to store as variables all your secrets, for instance, a private key, which is then directly referred into the Azure pipeline script, and then is scraped away from the log. Though we still have to keep in mind that the private key will appear and will be used in the VM itself. So Azure itself, Azure pipeline itself, tries not to leak, obviously, your private key or secret, but still, it has to be downloaded on the VM and used there.
Is it just an environment variable, or is it more like an HSM?
No, it's an environment variable, basically. Yeah. So it is possible. I didn't do. I should do further testing to see how you could leak it, but I think if you have some script code uploaded to it, you could leak it.
Yeah.
Code that Azure pipeline runs. So yeah, this is not exactly optimal. And also with HSM, we looked into Azure Key Vault that if you want to use this hardware in HSM, so the issue there was that you have to give it what you want to sign, and it will give you back a hashed signed. The problem is that the tooling we have to sign packages do not accept hash. Only they require the credentials. So I think we still have to understand how to pass that information from the HSM to the tool we use for signing.
You mean
Sorry.
How is the signature calculated? You send the binaries to the HSM.
No, yeah, sorry. You have to send it a hash of the binaries, which is then signed, and you have to give that signed hash back to the signing tools, because all the signing tools generate a hash, and that hash gets signed. The problem is that the tool do not accept you introducing in at the middle of that operation. They want you to start from a private key or a credential. You cannot give it the hash, the signed hash.
I think Seth was looking into alternatives. Maybe from Amazon, I don't remember. It was a software HSM. We can write this down in the notes. Maybe he will comment further.
I think the best thing that you could do is write a tool that talks to the HSM and still gets the private key, but only keeps it in memory. But you're going to have to provide it a secret to talk to the HSM, or some permission-based model. But yeah, as Stefano mentioned, none of the vendor-specific tools will allow you to get a digest and pass it in, which would be ideal. And if you look at like macOS or something, they also rely on the timestamps and use that as part of the service. So it's not easy to replicate in an external tool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think maybe some middle ground here is to have a script that doesn't change call CPAC with the keying material available in that job. That way we disconnect any changes to the repo that may have gone unreviewed or like snuck in from ever having a chance to exfiltrate or leak the key. If that makes sense.
Yep. Yeah, it will make sense to separate that in a different repo, basically. If this is what you just proposed, basically.
Yeah, kind of a different repo, but the repo essentially is just a script that would call CPAC, like I said, the other repo. That's not a good idea either. Actually, because I would say the other repo, the only thing you want to give it as input are the packages. Just the packages from CPAC, built, not signed. And so there's a very strict structure to what is input to that other script, and then that one has the keys available to it.
The question here though is we also have to sign the binaries, the executables in some cases like Windows and macOS. So we will need to have something that's before the packages.
You're right. So the way I get around this right now, I can share a script that takes a package, unpacks it, signs the executables, and then repacks it.
Yeah, I was wondering, since we support TargetZ, and actually we could, as we said, the other office hours, we could take this current CPAC logic out of Osquery and have it working standalone, and taking in only the binaries, not needing the whole CMake, Osquery CMake around it, which means you created the TargetZ, you start with it, you sign the executables there, and then you call CPAC on that folder, and then create the packages and sign the packages. So basically, the second step where the signing happens will actually also create the final packages without having to unpack and repack. Though, yeah, we are 2 weeks from the release, and I guess that either one is a good fallback if we don't have the CPAC process I just talked about.
Yeah, that process sounds the best to me. But yeah, let's target that for another release. Not rush to get it in there.
Okay.
So we can start talking about extension support. So we are working on it. We have the pull request, which is ready as far as I know. There was one additional question we had. There are some functions that were exported, rather accessible from the SDK. that are no longer there. So the boundaries of the SDK right now are kind of blurry. We noticed that some of the extensions we were working with did import them. It is easy to also replicate them directly inside the extension. But we were wondering, I mean, there is no inventory of what is the public API to the native extensions. So it is hard to guess whether it was intended or not for those API to go away. I forgot what was the name of the function, but it was functions to serialize and deserialize JSON log items or something like that.
Yeah, I think originally the whole repo was not intended to be an SDK, and
yeah, that's what I thought.
It ended up becoming one just because it was convenient to keep all of the code in one place. And if you look at the other extensions like Go or Python, they're very clean, and all they are is just the pre-built thrift IDLs and some other helper functions. And I think that's the minimum that we can guarantee right now, unless we want to define the boundary of the SDK.
I'm really in favor for just using what the thrift protocol is exposing right now. I was just wondering, and just trying to avoid breakage on the extensions that already exist, and at least provide the functions if they're missing, and maybe mark them as deprecated until we finally remove them and end up with a clear boundary between the SDK and Osquery.
Are we just to make it work the same as it did before? Is the only issue with a link more?
So we only noticed that those two functions were missing. We don't know if
they were just deleted. They're not in the code base
deleted.
anymore. Okay.
Yeah, because no one was using them except for a test.
Okay.
Inside the Osquery code base. However, some extensions we have seen did import them and use them.
So I think I'm on the side of if we had to delete and clean up dead code in the code base, if we don't have a use for it in the code base, then we shouldn't provide the expectation that extensions can use it. If they found value from it before and we ended up not using it anymore, we should just ask those extensions to pull that code into their local build.
Yeah, makes sense.
That's a move fast opinion right there. Any alternative approaches or any thoughts? Anyone disagree?
No, I mean, I think it's fine, though obviously it will be nice also for testing purposes to eventually define a more clear boundary, probably, as we said earlier. So yeah, something like this doesn't happen anymore. There's no confusion. It's easier. It's also easier to write documentation on how you should, which API you have available, how you should be writing an extension, things like that. Especially, for instance, recently I noticed that a regression on a function permitting you to call plugins from an extension to the core. So plugins that were registered directly to the core had a regression because, there was a simple fix that decided that function should not accept any more empty like empty plugin names. And the logic, actually, the original logic was actually that if you try to call the category, the config category for the plugins, but you do not provide any name of a plugin, then that call will be redirected to the core instead of searching in the local extension registry for that function. This was not documented. This kind of, I think, yeah, we need to understand what you can do or not, and we need to
Right.
have boundaries for that. Yeah.
I remember that. So I think that functionality is tested in the integration tests that we have disabled right now.
Kind of, actually, because the issue there is that the test uses an extension that though uses a local registry. So I think that in the call function implementation in the registry factory, it checks for if the call comes from a local or an external extension registry. And if it's not an extension registry, it will not redirect to the core, so it will fail instead of having success, which is what actually the test is checking, that the call fails. But actually, the call should have success from an extension. So there's another layer of confusion there. You can have internal extension and external. So.
Okay. Yes, there is. Yeah. Okay, yeah, but I think the intention is for that. That was a regression, the fix that you landed. Now the current state right now is how it was intended to be, and the follow-up that we have is just adding that sort of like API expectation to the integration tests.
Yep.
I haven't taken a look at the work that you're doing in that issue in a while. Is there any way to break that out so that you could get some help on it?
You mean the Python tests?
Yeah. Or I guess another question is, like, how can I help? Or how can other people help?
So, well, I think most of the work there has to be taken to test the other things. On the bottom of the PR, like some days ago, I've added a series of I've added a checklist where I broke up the single things that that are broken. So there are tests, for instance, right now that are failing only on Windows, or there are some tests that are failing also on Linux and macOS. So I guess one could try to, if one feels fond of a specific platform, could try to fix the test there. That would be very helpful. And then there is also that test HTTP Python script for those TLS tests, and also actually it's used for from one of the Windows tests, which tests the Osquery service. So again, if I think one can take one of those tasks and try to solve them separately. They should not be interdependent, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Cool. Okay, I'm gonna run in 5 minutes. I need to go grab something to eat. Anything else big in here? I was trying to delegate all of the Oktoberfest work to Nick. And the HTTP tests is related to what we were just talking about. But I wanted to include it here just for some awareness. I think we should get that done in the next 2 weeks before we have 4.1. I would feel more comfortable.
Yeah, well, another thing in the what's missing highlight is that we have in the milestone that we wanted to improve on the support for older glibc versions, so older platforms. Since no work toward that has been done, and I suggest to drop this for now and target it for the next release. It should definitely have a go at it, but yeah, I think we have our hands a bit full.
Definitely, yep.
And well, there are also other issues on the milestone. Maybe we will not go through them now, but I think they should be either assigned to someone or again moved to the next release, because so it's clear what we have to target for the end of the month release.
Cool. Yeah, let's do that. I want to say like concerted about the things that we keep on for this release, and maybe just post in core if we take something off, and just give people a chance to say like, hey, no, I'm really expecting that, or give them a chance to say, hey, I can do this. So I don't think we're going to have much opportunity to delegate things right now.
Yep, makes sense.
So I actually have an issue that we didn't report in the notes, which is about ODISP. I'm adding this under other random. I think that the major things have been documented there, so we can. I mean, there is no need to talk about it now. It is more like a call to action. So if you have anything to say about ODISP, refer to the issue we have linked there. The expectation here is not to remove what we have now, but add support to ODISP as a secondary mean to access the records we need. So we can actually keep auditd and Osquery running at the same time.
Yeah, that's no problem. Do you know of like people who are actively relying on this, or like would be stepping up to do end-to-end like deployment testing and provide some feedback?
So for the feedback, we had some customers that were interested in looking at the feature. However, we were warned that it may have some overhead, as it is really useful if we use it in a situation where the audit rules have not been changed, so that we only have mostly the base rules installed, like user events and SC Linux events and so on. But of course, as soon as you start enabling things like process events with or without forks, or the process file events, the risk here is that, yeah, you do have auditd running, but if you also log everything to disk, you will end up with huge log files that are not really meaningful, as it will contain a lot of garbage. So yeah, I guess the use case here is just having the base auditd configuration so that we can capture Linux user events, both on Osquery and on the log files, if by any chance we have a sysadmin looking at the machine directly without access to the Osquery instance.
Cool. Okay.
Hey, this is Nishan from Optics.
Hey,
Hey, as we are talking about dispatchers, so we have implemented inside Optics. So one problem is like what Alessandro mentioned. Yeah, so we'll be having more events receiving. We will be receiving more events than we want. But apart from that, if the rules are like exclude rules, negative rules, we have always rules installed, the rules types, the action always, and there is an action for never. So those kinds of rules also interfere with the collection of events. If those rules are installed from outside using audit control and we want those events to be reported at Osquery, so Osquery will not be functioning. So this is another problem. So both actually cannot go together because this is my experience. I have been observing that they cannot go along nicely, Osquery and already. Yeah, there are some common ground, but
yeah, that's what I mean, I have seen some people disable the configuration from the Osquery side, provide the configuration manually, and attempt to kind of use both Osquery and Unity in various weird means. And yeah, always cause issues, but I was hoping that with all this, for that specific use case, we could have something usable.
Actually, it takes a lot of resources as well. I have seen myself, and I have actually written on the issue itself raised by Mike. So it crosses various address space. So
yeah, I've seen your message. Thanks so much for documenting it.
So my I was thinking about how about replacing audit D altogether, like having the functionality of audit D into the Osquery D over a period of time. It's not going to happen overnight or in a month or two, but how about that?
You mean having Osquery logged to disk?
No, replace the audit D altogether, and we should have all the functionality of audit D. Audit D is like just logging all the logs to the disk. These logs has to be processed, but Osquery is processing live these records live on the fly. So how about obsolete audit D? Because Osquery, people like Osquery and they like that these audit records are being represented as events because these are the processed information we are providing to the users. So what audit D does, installing the rules and handling other things. So just replace this, have this functionality inside the Osquery D itself, like installing the rules from Osquery itself, generic rules. For example, implementing the syscall functionality. For having the syscall functionality, you have the functionality to install any kind of rules. The way you install the rules, generic rules using audit control. So having the functionality of audit control inside the Osquery and having the syscall, something like that.
I see, but wouldn't that break other things like ODISP? And I mean, we would have to replace quite some stuff to have feature parity with audit D and ODISP. Now, I'm not really sure how many people actually use plugins on ODISP. But if we want to be, yeah, I guess that the original goal was attempting to become a better citizen on the machine rather than hogging the netlink, because people may want to use it for something else. But yeah, it is a hard question because, as you showed us, there's quite some overhead. And right now, it's not like it is. I mean, it works fine, but as long as you try to enable too many things, like the process-fed events table, we already have a huge performance hit.
Yeah, it becomes unusable with the writes and reads we are capturing, especially.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have another issue, a small issue to discuss. If you guys have time, some time.
Yeah, sure. We are here for this reason precisely.
5882, I have created a pull request 5882. So what do you guys think about that?
Can you tell us the number again?
5882.
Oh yeah, I think I'm sorry, I didn't review this because we already had someone else look at it. But yeah, we can look at it right after the call.
Yeah, please leave your comments there. After
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Let me add it to the notes so we remember.
Thanks.
Yeah, if it is something that we lost during the refactor, we should probably take it back. All right, then we can probably talk about, well, I guess we can talk about Hacktoberfest without Nick, since he was the main person helping out with that. But we can maybe reach out to him on Slack, so we can probably skip this item for now. About code reviews, I'm referring specifically to this second item from Teddy. I personally have some people I would like to give write access to, like Packet Zero, for example. I don't know how to handle things right now. I guess there should be some kind of way to propose people to join. I'm almost sure that Seth already thought about it, but he's not here.
I mean, I think it'd be great to see people stepping up towards doing code reviews and then granting the permissions to folks who have demonstrated consistent ability to do that in a way that's meets with the standards and expectations of the project.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm happy to do code reviews on Linux and Mac OS. So I can go look for them, but also if you need a review, you can just ping me.
Yeah, I mean, I think going back to this, like in my experience, GitHub notifications are entirely insufficient to make sure that reviews that I might be helpful with actually make it in front of my eyes. So trying to figure out how we can build some process around that, I think could be a really worthy investment. And then we can move, step one is getting reviews in front of the right people. And then maybe step two is making sure that the people who are looking at those things not only have the capability to review, but also to merge that code. Are there folks here who do have success with GitHub notifications?
So for the low activity repositories, they work kind of nice. They're serviceable, not really nice, but they kind of work. Yeah, with the way Osquery, it is sometimes hard to keep track of everything. So I personally ended up having like 2 pages worth of notifications that I just click on them, make sure they are still marked as unread so I don't lose them. And so yeah, so I can go back to it later. Yeah, it's not really nice. I'm not sure if you all have kind of a similar experience as me.
Yeah, I mean, my experience is the only time I ever really look at something is when I'm pinged directly to do it. And I think that the people who are like most successful in getting their PRs merged are the ones who are just unashamed about pinging on chat to have them looked at.
Yeah.
Which may be a fine system, although in my eyes, maybe creating a channel in chat for such requests so as to keep it out of things like the discussion going on in core or just general, in which I think the vast majority of folks in general are not interested in knowing which PRs need to be reviewed. And then perhaps we could request that folks, or we could add in the PR template that folks can ping there to get review of what's going on. I don't know, just spitballing.
Well, it does make sense. I mean, we didn't have a channel for that in the past, but I remember we did used to ping people either during office hours or the PR or directly in the core channel. So yeah, that's a good idea, making a channel for that.
So maybe we can try that and see how that goes. And that's probably just part of the solution, really.
Yeah. Yeah, I've seen so many pull requests that maybe get some commits to them, then maybe they get stuck. And I never know if they are blocked with something or whether they are just done and we can, review it and merge it. I was looking at one the other day where the CI failed and we didn't get any new answer from them. So yeah, I think it is a great idea.
Yeah, I agree. Creating a channel is a pretty nice idea.
Well, I mean, this is easy. Like, I can create a channel on Slack right now, and folks who are interested can join it, and we can update the PR template to point people there. And I don't know if we have other documentation that would be appropriate to update, but we could just do all that easily and then see how that goes from there.
Yeah.
Sure.
Thank you, Zach. So I consider there are some things inside the other random. I was wondering about the C++ 17 request. I don't think it is an issue. We are already using our own custom toolchain on Linux, which was the most problematic platform. I guess Visual Studio 2019 really supports C++ 17.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about macOS, however. Last time I tried Mojave, some of the things in C++ 17 were missing. I guess we can just try to compile it. with flag enabled, and if it works, we can just upgrade the version.
Yeah, I think the string view, this comes from Ted. I think the string view mentioned here there is also to remove the workaround we have to put for boost Asia. I'm not sure about the pronunciation, but because it was using string view but not correctly detecting that the current toolchain was not supporting it, so it gave issues on macOS actually. And yeah, I think if we update, we can remove that and also use other features of C++ 17.
Yeah, I'm all in favor of upgrading the version.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in favor as well. Can anyone think of an argument against doing so if it's supported on our platforms?
I guess the only blocker here is either Windows or macOS. I think Windows has everything with Visual Studio 2019. If macOS is fine, I think we are good. And on Linux, it's not an issue because we are already depending on like Clang 8.
Yep.
I think with Xcode 11, there is C++ 17 support, but not with Xcode 10.
All right. What about that? I know that we cannot compile static binaries on macOS. I forgot why, but yeah, it was documented. Do we still need to compile for the specific platform we want to target on macOS? Because if that's the case, we do have to keep compatibility with Mojave, and I'm not sure if you can upgrade Xcode without upgrading the operating system.
No, I think you can upgrade Xcode independent of the OS, because I keep like 2 or 3 versions around, and you can like use a command line flag to switch the versions.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, there maybe are some issues in compiling with the latest SDK, or at least the last time it was tested, it was with a beta version of 11 on Mojave. So yeah, but beyond that, it should be possible.
Yeah, I guess we can then just try to make a pull request, see if it works.
This will also ends up probably supporting better Catalina for the future.
Yeah, true. Oh yeah, about Catalina, I'm not really macOS guru, but it seems like there are some issues there that we should consider. I noticed a couple of pull requests. There was also an issue open about some system table that was running really slow.
Yeah, I opened that one. It consistently takes more than 5 seconds to just run basic system info table. I think it's the underlying APIs. I still haven't looked because I don't have easy access to a Catalina machine, but I'll try to add more details in a little bit.
Okay, I found the link. Should we attempt to link them all inside the parent issue whenever a new macOS version is out? Well, I guess we can also just search for Catalina.
I think there's a label for Catalina, sure. And there will be many more issues because I think Catalina has a newer permissions system, TCC, I think. And it has a read-only, so it will ask for permissions to read a system folder every time, not every time, the first time. I still haven't had the chance to play around though.
I see. Yeah, I guess we should kind of try and prioritize those issues. As my clients get really updated.
Yeah, tangentially to that, we would also need to discuss notarization for Osquery binaries on macOS going forward. I think the deadline has been pushed back to January 1st, 2020. So that is nice. I'm not sure if it affects command line tools. I haven't been able to dive into it, but that's another issue. I think.
Is there an issue about that? I'm not really familiar with the term.
I don't think there's an issue about that currently.
I see.
I think also Seth mentioned this a couple of times, so he may know more about this.
Yeah, and I think in order to do this, I think we also need a developer account with Apple. I think like submitting our binary for like notarization requires some kind of certificate from Apple.
Are you familiar with the process of notarizing applications?
I mean, I could do like a simple hello world with my personal developer account. I can try to look more into it, but then again, I don't have easy access to a Catalina machine. I can give it a shot. And I had troubles with the VM. I'll try to carve out more time next week or so and maybe dive into this.
It sounds like this might be something we need to work with the Linux Foundation on, because that would be the entity that would receive this this key that would be used. Does that sound right?
Yeah, and I think it also required a DUNS number to register. Like, if you're not an individual and you have an entity for which you need the Apple developer ID, you needed a DUNS number. I think it's I don't know what it is, Dunbar number or something.
Yeah, I've worked with those folks. It's like a total racket. It's supposed business or reputation thing, but really they just want you to pay them. You can get the number for free if you're an organization. So I guess, but you know, I don't think we're an organization independent of the Linux Foundation. So I think we kind of we need to do this under them. So maybe this is something that I'll follow up with the Linux Foundation folks on to understand whether they have a developer account yet and whether it's something that we can get through them.
Sounds good. And also to use new system extension APIs in Catalina would also require an entitlement request, which requires a provisioning certificate, which requires a developer account. Yeah, there's a lot of Catalina stuff to be hashed out in the next few months.
All right. The next item is the new contributors experience. So I'm not sure who put this here. We should. Oh, I see. We should probably make sure that everything we expect from contributor is well defined, at least on the template, on the pull request template, and also maybe in the documentation. I think we can follow up on this later. Speaking about the things that broke with the new version, yeah, I was familiar with Windows Event Log, not so much with syslog. It's not working anymore. I guess Teddy knows more about this. Yeah, we'll ping him on Slack and ask about it.
I mean, I can only see. Yeah, there's a PR from Packet Zero about syslog pipehang. But I'm not sure this is a regression actually. So this is the PR, which also has to be eventually has to be rebased on the newer master. But again, yeah, I'm not sure if this is a regression.
I see. All right, let's put this inside the to-do list.
There are also actually multiple PRs for that. Yeah, for that issue. So yeah, this is another one, which actually fixed the same thing, I think. And yeah, let's see the issue. I didn't notice the number of the issue. Let's see if there's written something more there. No, actually, it seems something that's coming from 326. So this is the original issue they are attempting to fix. It doesn't seem to be a regression.
All right. We'll put them in the notes and have a look at the pull request.
Okay.
Okay, I think that is all. Does anyone have anything about pull request issues? All right, guys. We are 13 minutes late. Sorry about that. We'll see you guys on Slack. Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Wonderful. Great day, everyone.
See ya.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.